Hi, this is Rachel, speaking to you now. Please do not drive or operate any machinery whilst listening to this audio. Some of the things I speak about may be triggering. Please make sure you are in a safe frame of mind to continue. This is not intended to be medical or mental health advice, and I am not a certified mental health professional. In the case of an emergency, please contact your local resources. Moving forward. Trigger warning. Topic of rape. This is going to be difficult. More so for me to say and acknowledge these things for myself, rather than for you to read or hear. And that is, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for holding myself accountable for the harm which was inflicted upon me by bad people. They were all bad people, bad men. And some, like my ex, were very egregiously ill, meaning sick and clinically messed up in the head, although that is not a phrase used in the clinical realm. The more clinical terms would involve addiction to sex, pedophilia, and narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. The sick things that he did to me were not my fault, and so I forgive myself for being trained and manipulated into thinking that the 7 years of abuse in the 12-year relationship were ever my fault. I am not responsible for ever having been abused. I am simply not responsible. And then some might say, in contradiction to my self-forgiveness, but you stayed. And my response to that is to say, well, please look up what Stockholm Syndrome is, get to know the original story, how it got its name, then come back to me and tell me I had a part in being abused. I dare you to. And then again, some people just do not have the capacity to understand, given my history and my hurts long before I met my abuser. Trigger warning. I will speak of rape, not in detail, just that my self-forgiveness today as an exercise in group therapy led me to remember one of my worst traumas, which was when the abuser, the man who said he loved me, gathered up 2 other men at a party, and they waited until I was very drunk and unable to consent. And then my abuser led me into a room, and they proceeded to rape me, all 3 of them, at the same time. And my shocking realization now, 20 years after this event, is that they planned this. All 3 men made verbal agreements that they were all going to have sex with me at the same time when I was drunk enough. I'm so sorry if this is triggering or activating for anyone listening to or reading this, and I invite you to stop and take a pause. This one defining event of my trauma history is and has been the source of so much pain. I cannot put words to the memories of the physical memory which resides in my body and of the distress, pain, and desire to end my life based on this event alone. Only, no, it was not an isolated event, unfortunately. It was a part of a series of hundreds of rapes, violent acts against me and my body, over a span of years, 7 years. And each event, each rape, was orchestrated by my abuser, to whom I was tied in the most ruthless and awful sort of manipulation that I can imagine. Each rape, including the gang rape, was orchestrated, planned, and carried out by a man whose name I can no longer say. How is it that I thought all of this was my fault? So much so that I did not think my life was worthy to live? I break the bond which tied me to the man who abused and tortured me, who kept me on liquid starvation diets, who sold my body as a commodity for financial gain. I am not responsible for the murdering of my soul. I am not responsible for the men who bought and then raped me, my body, degrading my vision of my self-worth to nothing, to the point of suicide. I have attempted at least 15 times over the last 13 years, have been hospitalized countless times more, have had radical acts to save my life, such as ECTs or electroconvulsive therapy treatments, for many years in succession. I now value my life. I do not want to die, never did. I just wanted the overwhelming pain to stop. Death would have accomplished this, but it's not a good way to go. And even now, when I get triggered, when I am feeling suicidal, I ask for help. I have always called for help, even after having swallowed all of the pills. I know, it's enough talk about the triggering stuff. Here I am. I've showed up for myself. I show up for myself every day. I am present, here, in my aloneness, and I'm finally letting myself off of the hook. I release myself from holding a responsibility that was never mine to hold. I am free. I break the invisible yet very present chains that bind me to my past. I release the hold that my past has had upon me. I am clean and worthy of this life, and free of any responsibility held from events in my past. I hereby let go of the guilt and of the shame. I am no longer tethered to him, my abuser, and I am no longer tethered to my past. I cut it off, all the negative and bad things, thoughts and memories. I sever the cord with a sharp sword, for I will also no longer be burdened by the past. When the past intrudes on my present tense, I send it back to live in the past, for it to not intrude on my now, the life I have built, which is a life worth living, filled with gentle kindness towards myself, foremost, and the people whom I love. I have the power to set myself free, and I hereby declare myself free and clear, with a balanced road ahead of me, no longer burdened by my past. And here I am. I exist in the now, and in the positivity within me, and also in the world around me. My world, the world I forged and created with my own sheer will, the will to be, to exist, and the will to have a better life than before. For this is my path, my journey. I cannot change my past, but I can help create a better future for myself and for those I care about. A marathon starts with one step towards a better future, and that step I have taken.